I would say, if you're alive and you have the energy of life in you, then the intelligence of life is in you, beyond the way you think about the world right now, beyond anything your brain could cook up, which it has been cooking up, So if you can trust that there's a kind of thinking that's beyond you, but that is in you, flows through you, then you can rest, just rest. And that energy, that intelligence of life will bring you what you're looking for. I could say peace. That's just one word. It'll bring you everything that you're looking for. So it's not about you. You don't have to fix yourself. You don't have to worry that you've been labeled. It's not your concern. Let the people who need to label, if they need to label for medication or for whatever, let them do their thing. And don't worry about that. That's not who you are. And just try to have faith. Have faith. It's about faith. And all faith is jumping from what you know, what you're used to thinking, what you've thought 1,000 times before, into the unknown. You just give up. I give up! I can't think anymore. That's a great spot to be in. I give up. And you will be carried. I was. And when I gave up my own way of thinking and trying to figure out life, then the universe picked me up. And I found so much mental health. I just know that I can't go back. I can't go back to being depressed. Not in the way that I get down, but I don't get depressed. And so if I can do it, you can do it. I've had so many clients and students who are no longer depressed, are no longer suffering from panic disorders, anxiety, like you name it. And I don't just mean myself, I mean clients that come to classes that I've done with colleagues and just across the board. There are thousands of people out there who are beyond their diagnosis. Like their diagnosis is not a part of their lives anymore. And then you'll be on to the next. How do I get enlightened now? Occurring to me lately about the principles is that it's so sometimes hard for people to understand the principles as a solution in the field of psychology or in the field of prevention or drug and alcohol, because the principles are so simple. There's only 3. If we were wise, we'd come up with a whole bunch more and we'd be much more popular, because just those 3, and Sid has said those 3 are just one. So now, forget about it. Nothing more simple than one. I think it's hard for people to see that a solution to so many complex, what look like complex problems in society could be so simple. And I also think that people have a hard time thinking that there even is a solution that works in almost every case, And so I've come back to, in presenting to the field and working with people, this idea of how fields change and how sometimes the simplest thing is the answer. Sid used to talk about Dr. Lister, and I was reading about a man, I think he was in England, I don't know if it was Dr. Lister, but it was someone who figured out that if you washed your hands, you know, when you were helping a woman to give birth as a doctor, then, you know, then actually women tended to live, you know, through birth, and that was like a big, huge success to have women live through birth. And Dr. Lister, of course, came up with germ theory, you know, that it's actually germs that are killing everyone. You get them into this room, and you open up, you know, their bodies, and everyone's got germs all over them, and so then they're dying. So it's just this one thing, and it applied to every kind of surgery that they were doing on any kind of organ in the body. And so to me, that's how the principles are, and that's why they're so hard to see. Because how could, I mean, doctors resisted this for years. It might have been 20 or 30 years where they just were not going to listen. It was too simple. And yet, I remember there's this one clinic in Britain where they were actually had all the success with women living through childbirth because they were washing their hands. And yet still people wouldn't listen. So it's just occurring to me that it's the simplicity that is sort of putting people off in a way. And yet sometimes the answers to the most complex problems are totally simple. And isn't that nice, you know, that they be simple?